My name is Myra. I am now 42 years old. I used to work for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Broward County. I was with them for 6 years, and I was actually diagnosed while working with them. So I worked with them for part-time, but I just resigned because of this pandemic. So I'm officially unemployed. I love arts and crafts. I love yoga. I love being a mentor and volunteering in my community. Those are my biggest passions. So I had just finished breastfeeding my youngest son, and I felt something hard. It didn't feel like a lump. It didn't hurt. It wasn't red. And I just thought it might have been a clogged duct. And so I went to see my gynecologist, and he didn't examine me. And he just told me it's probably, clogged duct. Just wait until your milk dries up. Wait 6 months. And so in those 6 months, I waited, and it just kind of got harder and a little bit bigger. Still didn't hurt. It wasn't anything that you expect breast cancer to feel like this lump, this lump that they tell you to feel for. It didn't feel like that. And so I waited, and then it just kind of kept bothering me, and I went to get a mammogram. That mammogram quickly went, straight to an ultrasound and then to biopsy, and it all happened very quickly. They called me on a Saturday to let me know that it did, test positive for breast cancer. And so that from when I felt it to when I was diagnosed was almost a year, and I still had breast milk. Even when I went through all this, my breast milk didn't dry up until I started chemo. So I waited, just assuming that it was nothing, and it came back positive. Initially, it was a stage 3 invasive ductal carcinoma. And so after the 16 rounds of chemo, my body reacted really well. And we went for the PET scan to see how everything was looking. I assumed that it was only my right breast, but by that time it had already spread to my left breast and my lymph nodes. I was actually diagnosed stage 3, but I was already stage 4. Nobody knew about it. So after chemo is when they realized that the cancer was already in my spine. I kind of have a unique situation where I was born with a very rare bone disease, which causes enchondroma, cysts within my bones. So before I even started this whole chemo journey with them and the whole cancer thing, I have multiple cysts all over my body. And so when you take a PET scan, they all light up. And so they just assumed that these spots in my spine were my bone disease, my Olier's disease. And so I went ahead with chemo, and then after chemo is when they did the PET scan and realized there was a little bit of changes in the spine, and they did a biopsy, which came out positive for breast cancer, and that's when I was re-diagnosed as having metastatic breast cancer. I didn't have any pain in my back. I had no idea there was ever anything there because they did the PET scan before I started chemo. Didn't tell me that they had seen something in my spine because, again, everyone just assumed it was my bone disease. And it wasn't until the second PET scan that they said, okay, there was a little bit of change in these tumors in your spine. It can't be your bone disease. Something else has to be going on. And that's when they ordered the biopsy. I feel like I went through diagnosis twice. So I had 2 different emotions. I feel like when I was first diagnosed as stage 3, I was shocked. I felt like I had this death sentence over my head. You automatically assume, oh my God, I'm gonna die. But then you feel like, okay, there's still hope, and we can take care of it and we'll be good. And then when you get re-diagnosed as having stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, it's like being slapped in the face all over again. The first time the emotions were, okay, am I going to be here to see my kids grow up? But then when you hear, you have metastatic breast cancer and this is terminal and it's something that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life and there's no cure, it breaks your heart, it breaks your spirit. And, when I was first diagnosed, I went straight into survivor mode, and I was just so focused on getting treatment and getting better. And then when you hear like, okay, well, there's no opportunity for me to get cured now, I have to find a different way to deal with this mentally, and so you have to dig deep to just find the strength to say, okay, I'm gonna be in this for the long haul. I have to be in treatment for the rest of my life. And I'm a person that never took medicine. I've always been very healthy, and even my doctors told me, even with this diagnosis, I'm healthy. Everything else is fine with me, minus this cancer in my body. So it's a huge blow to your soul, I feel like, because you have all these expectations of what your life is going to be, especially me being a mom and having all these plans with my husband and with my kids. Now I have to, come to the realization that a lot of those things might not happen, so you really start focusing on living for today and just making the best of every day that you have while you're here. No one knows what this journey is like unless they've been in this journey. So I feel like people have the best intentions and want to give you the best advice, and it doesn't help. Honestly, what helped me get through this was finding my tribe. You have to find a group of women that can relate to your day-to-day. So I was able to go to a conference and meet, these amazing women, 11 of us, all different diagnoses, all different stories, but we all have been on this journey together. And that really helped me, knowing that I had someone that I could call or text and just let them know, hey, today is not a good day, or this is what I'm feeling, or these are my fears today. And they can totally relate and love you and not even have to say anything, just let you know that they're there for you, because sometimes just having someone there for you is so important, and you don't even have to say anything. Just letting me know that you're there. And so I think finding that group of women, finding my tribe, my breasties, as I call them, my breastie girl gang, was a huge blessing for me. And that has really helped me my day-to-day, because I can talk to people in my family and other friends. And again, no one understands what I'm going through unless they've been in this. So that has definitely helped me, is having that tribe. And to this day, these women, we live all over the country. We only get to see each other really once a year at a conference, but we keep in touch. We, ask each other how we're doing. Some of us are silent and are, disappear for a few months, and we can all respect that and understand that they need a break from this, and it's okay. And so we just try to really support each other and just love each other through the good and through the bad. And I think that's really helped me. So especially young women, because everyone thinks of this as like an old woman's disease. So I think definitely finding young women, moms who have young children, is really important to find someone that can relate to your situation. From the beginning of my diagnosis, I've been an open book. As soon as I got diagnosed, I started a blog, Green Chemo Ninjas. And that was a way for me to let everyone know what I was going through and what I was feeling without having to have so many separate conversations or side conversations or text messages. It was a way for me to just let people know, like, hey, I had chemo today. I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling good. This is what's going on. And so I've been very transparent since I got diagnosed. I've shared my story with people because I think people need to understand what metastatic breast cancer is. I didn't know what metastatic breast cancer was. I had no idea. And I have 3 aunts who are breast cancer survivors. I had a dear friend that passed away from breast cancer. And nobody tells you what metastatic breast cancer are. Nobody tells you that it could spread to other parts of your body. And so I was completely clueless. So I had to do my own research and find out what it all meant. And I think sharing my story is an opportunity for other women to know, like, hey, you might have been diagnosed early stage, but you still need to go for those checkups, and letting people know that they have to be their biggest advocate, and they need to listen to their body and follow their instincts. And if something tells them that something's wrong, something's not right, they need to go to their doctor, and they need to explain and fight for themselves to get that mammogram or whatever treatment that they need. And I think that's the biggest lesson I learned. I went in trusting my gynecologist and waiting, and this is where I ended up. And so I feel like sharing my stories, giving people the okay to know that you can go and you can tell your doctor, no, I need this mammogram, something's wrong, and to fight for themselves and to be their own advocates. So I think that's really important. And also sharing my story, I feel like it gives people hope. I've had a few people diagnosed with some type of cancer after I was diagnosed, and they've all told me that my blog and me sharing my story has given them the strength to share their story, and it's giving them a voice so that they can explain to people how they're feeling and what they're going through. So that definitely makes me feel good to know that I've kind of opened a door for other people to feel like it's okay for them to share their story, because you don't want to be a Debbie Downer, right? You don't want to tell people like, oh, I have cancer and this is my life, and you don't want a pity party, because none of us want a pity party, right? So you have to be able to communicate that with people. And it's like, when I'm in a gathering with friends or family, I need to let them know that my cancer diagnosis doesn't need to be the center of attention. It doesn't have to be the conversation on the table all the time. We can just enjoy each other and have family time together. And I want to feel normal. I don't want to feel like a cancer patient, right? Nobody wants to go into a room and feel like the cancer patient, all the center of attention is you and your diagnosis. Nobody wants that. You want to be able to just go and enjoy your family and your friends and not have to worry about talking about cancer for a day. I mean, we live it every day. We wake up knowing we have, this diagnosis. We don't need to be reminded of it all the time. So it is nice to just feel normal once in a while and be able to go and just, hang out with people and not have to talk about it. I mean, you do, obviously, because you have questions, and that's fine. And again, I'm very open about my diagnosis, and I'll answer any question people have, but sometimes it's nice to know how other people are doing and just having a normal conversation. I feel like people need to know that we're all in this together, and we're all just trying to find a cure. I think people kind of dismiss us sometimes, because they're like, oh, it's breast cancer, it's an easy cancer, you'll be fine. And people need to understand that metastatic breast cancer is a whole different ballgame. They don't know that it's incurable. They don't know that it's terminal. They don't know that, we have these numbers, because we're all given a number, right? Oh, you have 2 years, you have 3 years. And nobody wants to be known as a number. So I think it's important for people to understand what it means when someone says, I have metastatic breast cancer. So I think education is really important. And I wish people took more time to hear our stories. I feel like people don't really take the time to acknowledge what it is that we go through on a day-to-day basis, and they don't take the time to educate themselves. But they also have to know that some of us are thriving, and some of us are beating the odds, and some of us are living longer than what was initially said to us. So I think that's important to know as well. I don't want to think of it as just a death sentence right away. I want people to know that we still got a lot of fight in us, and we can still, live a good life, and and we make choices every day to wake up and to make it a good day, and that takes a lot of strength. It really does. For me, the biggest challenge is the fatigue, not having the energy to do all the things I want to do. And then sometimes I wear myself out because I want to do too much. I want to be that super mom and that super wife, and I get up every morning and I make breakfast. And right now I'm doing the virtual learning with the boys, and we do homework, and we do arts and crafts, and we do all these different things. And then by 6 o'clock, I'm just like, I'm spent, I'm exhausted. I cook dinner and I just go straight to bed. And that's hard for me because I want to be able to do other things with my boys. And then sometimes it's just difficult because I'm just so tired, and it doesn't matter what I do, there's nothing I can do. My body's just asking me to rest. And so sometimes I just have to take a quick nap so that I have the energy to do other things throughout the day. And so I think that's been the biggest challenge for me, is just not having the energy to do all the things that I want to do. I mean, I loved working. I was working part-time through all of my diagnosis. I was able to juggle so many different things that it just got to the point that I just couldn't juggle it anymore. And I think that was really hard for me, was having to give up work. Work was such a huge distraction for me. It made me feel normal. I was working in the community and helping kids, and that made me feel so good, and it made me feel like I had a purpose. So taking work away from me was a huge thing, because I loved what I did. So, and even my boys, when I had to tell them that I resigned, they were like, what? Why? You loved your job. It was so cool. But I had to make a choice. And my choice was to stay home and to have the energy for my boys, because I couldn't keep dividing energy between work, my boys, and my husband. Because sometimes men get, kind of kicked out of the picture because I'm so focused on being a good mom that by the end of the day, like, I don't even have the energy to be a good wife, and that's terrible, so it's making those difficult decisions has been really, really hard. It's definitely been hard for me. The things that bring me joy are my family, not just my husband and my two boys, but my parents. I'm blessed to have my parents here in Florida with me, and they help a lot. And they come, especially my mom comes on the weekends to help me with the boys. So that brings me joy. Seeing my boys with their grandparents and with their family. I love going to the beach, and I love going to the water with my boys. We love going outside and doing different things. So that definitely brings me joy. We have pets. Animals bring me joy. So just having our dog and our turtle. I love turtles. They're one of my favorite animals. So we have a little turtle, so that brings me joy. Getting old brings me joy, as weird as that sounds. I'm starting to get gray hairs now, and I'm actually looking forward to gray hairs. That means I'm getting older, and that's one of the things that I want to do. I want to grow old with my husband. So the things that people take for granted, I don't, because I'm looking forward to growing old. I want to be that little old lady with the white hair with my husband and all the wrinkles. So as weird as that sounds, definitely seeing a few gray hairs and a few wrinkles makes me happy, because it makes me know, and that, hey, I'm getting my wish. I'm getting to grow old with my husband and my kids. COVID and this pandemic has, I think, hit us hard because of my compromised immune system. Even if you're wearing a mask, it's still, it causes a lot of anxiety to be around people or have people in our home. We've tried to social distance as much as we can. So I think that's been a challenge, especially for my boys. Not being able to see their friends has been really hard on them. Not being able to be in school because they're doing the virtual learning has been really difficult for them as well. I've had to be both mom and teacher, and I feel like I'm the lunch lady and PE. I do it all. And also not being able to see our family and our friends. I think that's been really difficult. We have family that live all over the world, and we haven't been able to see any of them through this pandemic. So that's been really difficult. And also for me, it was really difficult to have to make the decision to resign from work so that I could have the time to be here with the boys during the virtual learning. I give a lot of props to these moms that are working from home and doing the virtual learning. It is tough having two kids on two different schedules, two different curriculums, and just trying to be there to make sure that, it's a successful school year for them. So that's been a huge challenge, is just making sure that the kids are learning and they're happy, and making sure that this doesn't cause them more anxiety. I think that's my biggest worry. My oldest, I see the anxiety setting in with him because he's not just worried about COVID, he's worried about me. And he doesn't even know all the details. As far as my kids know, mommy had breast cancer. There's bad cells in her body, and she's okay. She beat breast cancer. I haven't had the heart to tell him what's going on. So he's 9 years old now, and we just said the C word to him maybe within the last year, because he needed to know because of what was going on with my health and having 2 reoccurrences. But he tells me all the time, well, mommy, you beat breast cancer. You're strong. And I have to say, yeah, baby, yeah. And so I know that he is having some anxiety about COVID, because if he goes somewhere and brings it back home, he knows that I'm the one with the compromised immune system, and I'm the one that can get sick. So he's not worried about getting it for him or his brother. He's worried about mommy getting sick if they bring COVID into the house. So just having that fear and seeing that anxiety in him is really hard for me. And just trying to give him reassurance that, we're going to be okay and things will get back to normal. We've been blessed that, we live in Florida and we have great weather and we have a backyard, and that I can do things to keep them busy. I mean, it's two little boys with a lot of energy. You know, we've had to get creative. We had to buy a pool. We put a zip line in the backyard. You know, we've been just trying to do all different things to keep them entertained and active while they're home. That's been the biggest challenge, is just keeping the kids you know, on a routine and keeping things as normal as possible, so that they don't get stressed out about the whole situation. I mean, we as parents are stressing out, and as adults are stressing out. I don't feel that they have to stress out as well. So just trying to keep them calm. This quarantine and pandemic has been really difficult for me, because I am a social butterfly. I love being around people. I love having conversations. I love interacting with people, and it's been really difficult to do that. We've done a little bit of social distancing in our backyard with masks, but I really do miss my family. I feel like my parents have had to sacrifice a lot staying home and quarantining themselves, because my mom is on call in case something happens. She is the first one that, you know, shows up on my doorstep. So she's been really good about quarantining herself so that she could be available for me in case of an emergency. She'll come and watch the boys if I have an appointment, a doctor's appointment or anything like that, or treatment. She'll come and help. If I'm exhausted, she'll come and help, you know, and give me a break, help me clean the house, take care of the boys. So her and my dad have been quarantined this entire time and just really isolating themselves so that she can be healthy, so that she can come and help me on the weekends. So I know it's definitely impacted my parents. Richard is still working, but it's been very stressful because he'll come into the garage, take a shower in the guest bathroom, and then, you know, then he'll come into the house to greet us. At one point, he was terrified that he had been exposed. He was willing to like camp outside in our backyard. He didn't want to come into the house because he didn't want to put me in a vulnerable situation. He didn't want to expose me to that. But for me, it's just been really hard. I've never been the person to be depressed or suffer from depression. I could totally see how someone could get completely depressed through this entire experience, because you don't get to see your friends, your family. Things are just not normal, you know. And so, especially for me with my compromised immune system, it's just been really difficult because we want to do things. We want the boys to be able to have play dates with their friends. We've tried to get creative, you know, especially with birthdays. You know, birthdays are a big thing here. And so just trying to celebrate birthdays with the people that we love has been really difficult. My brother's a firefighter in Boston, you know, so it's been difficult. I haven't been able to see him. Richard's sister lives in Australia. She had a baby. We were supposed to see her and the baby. We haven't met our niece. She's about to be a year old and we haven't even met her. So that has been devastating to us because we were looking forward to meeting our niece. We had all these weddings and all these things that were canceled. We have family in Puerto Rico. The boys haven't seen their grandmother in almost 9 months. It's been really hard on us because we're such family-oriented people, especially with someone living with metastatic breast cancer. You don't know how much time you have, you know, and that's always something in the back of your mind. You're like, really, we're going to spend the next 8 months quarantined and not being able to see anybody because of this pandemic. So it really takes a toll on you emotionally, and it really messes with your mind a lot. I don't see a lot of women that look like me when it comes to metastatic breast cancer. I know that as a Latina, you know, in our culture, people are very private. You know, I have people that will text me and let me know that they were just recently diagnosed with breast cancer, but they don't tell anybody and they go through this by themselves. So I think it's important within the Hispanic community to be more vocal about what is going on with our health. And you know, I feel like I've always been, you know, an advocate, and I've always worked in some type of nonprofit. So I think, you know, my calling now has been, you know, to become an advocate and to educate people within the Hispanic community about metastatic breast cancer, because I'm sure a lot of them don't know what metastatic breast cancer is. I mean, even on my Facebook page, people will ask me all kinds of questions because everyone thinks you just died from breast cancer. And it's like, no, there's a lot more that goes on that you don't know about. So definitely reaching out to the Hispanic community. I've done a few interviews for that, just to kind of represent for the Hispanic community and for young Latinas, because there are not a lot of us out there that are sharing our stories so that other people can learn more about this disease and become advocates themselves and help us raise funds for metastatic breast cancer, to find research, to find a cure. So I think that is extremely important, is sharing our stories so that we can help other women. For me, since I was diagnosed, my mindset has been, I wasn't going to let cancer steal my joy. And so that's what I live by every day. You know, when I think about the little things and hear people complain about the little things, it makes me feel like, listen, I wake up every morning and I choose to have a grateful heart and to be happy and to choose joy, and not to let the side effects or whatever's bothering me that day take over my day and put me in a bad mood. I really have to change my mindset and my thought process so that I can have a good day, and so that my kids don't see me down. You know, I have 2 little boys, and for me, I fight for them every day, and I don't want them to see mommy always in bed because I'm so tired. So I literally have to force myself out of bed sometimes just to get up to do things with them, go for a walk, play, and just, you know, try to be a good mom every day. So for me, it's really about making sure that they see the good days that I have and they don't remember the bad days.